Today we are working on Psalm 43. Psalm 43 magically is very frequently used to overcome any unjust situation. It's used for material needs that need to be met, to turn back evil, and to reverse slander. And today what we're going to use Psalm 43 for is to invoke the divine law of restitution. So anything that in your life where you feel like you've been unjustly treated or something has been taken from you, we can call upon the divine law of restitution and make sure that everything gets returned to you with interest and that your life be returned to a state of balance. The way we work psalm magic is very simple and extremely effective. We take the psalm in question and we speak it out loud all the way through once without stopping. Then we take that same psalm and go back through it and consider each verse line by line. What we're doing is we're digging and searching and finding. We're really toiling in the soil, working like gardeners. And we're discovering packets of seeds. Those are occult meanings within each verse. And we take those occult meanings that we discover there and we do our best to apply them to the situation at hand that we brought to the psalm. By doing all of that, we are taking those seeds and planting them in the depths of our minds, where they, in a very real way, take root, they grow, they blossom forth, and then they bear fruit after their kind. And that is exactly what you and I are going to do together right now with Psalm 43. Judge me, O God, and plead my cause against an ungodly nation. O deliver me from the deceitful and unjust man. For thou art the God of my strength. Why dost thou cast me off? Why go I mourning because of the oppression of the enemy? O send out thy light and thy truth. Let them lead me. Let them bring me unto thy holy hill and to thy tabernacles. Then will I go unto the altar of God, unto God my exceeding joy. Yea, upon the harp will I praise thee, O God, my God. Why art thou cast down, O my soul? And why art thou disquieted within me? Hope in God, for I shall yet praise him, who is the health of my countenance and my God. To begin with, we are addressing God. And remember, in the Authorized King James Version of the Bible, which is what I tend to use when I'm working psalm magic, and you can use any translation that you prefer. It's pretty consistent. When it says God, it is translating the Elohim from the Hebrew, and when it says Lord, it is translating the Tetragrammaton from the Hebrew. So this is an Elohim psalm. So it's saying, judge me, Elohim, or O God, and plead my cause against an ungodly nation. So when you're calling on the Elohim, you're calling on the choir of angels. You're calling on the totality of what God is. Remember that for us, regardless of whether it's Elohim or whether it's the Tetragrammaton, we have to orient ourselves to the singularity, the unity that is the force that we are connecting with when we are working psalm magic. It's very important to do that so that we have a power source that is all-powerful. If we are connected to the one source and we recognize that there is only one, there's one source, one force, one power, one substance in all the universe, then there is nothing that can oppose it. There's nothing that can thwart it, and there's nothing that can vitiate it, which means that one with God in this sense is a majority, and that since God is for us, nothing can be against us. And that's why we can go forth with whatever spell we are casting. In this case, we are calling on the divine law of restitution. We can do that with utter confidence that our spell will be successful. Judge me, O God, and plead my cause against an ungodly nation. So we're calling upon God as if God was a judge in a court. And we want God to judge us because we know that we are right. And we know that God knows that we are right or righteous, as it says in the Psalms. So anything that does not look like that righteousness, anything that does not look like the righteous expression of what God's will for us is, we want God to judge that. And in here we're saying, plead my cause against an ungodly nation. So the ungodly nation, for many of us, we assume that the ungodly nation is out there. The ungodly nation is those people that are treating me unjustly, or it's that enemy, or it's that abuser, it's that bully. And it's true, we are correct, that is an ungodly nation, but those are manifestations of what the Psalms magically mean by nation. Magically, nation means thought form. We are asking infinite intelligence to plead our cause against an unjust thought form. And that's why, since this thought form is already unjust, we know that it can't stand up against the Word of God. Therefore, the divine law of restitution has to be invoked. It has to be put into motion, and our situation has to clear up. Oh, deliver me from the deceitful and unjust man. So a nation is a thought form, and a person is a thought. In this case, it's saying the unjust man. We are taking responsibility for the fact that we have thoughts and ideas which permit such things to occur. And we are now taking a stand, and we are calling on infinite intelligence to deliver us from those thoughts, and also from the consequences of those thoughts, which oftentimes are consequences that we have in relationships with people. So whatever the situation that you're coming to the psalm for, we are asking that you be delivered from the deceitful and unjust man. So anything that's deceitful, anything that's unjust are reflections of deceitful and unjust thoughts, and we are doing both. We are both taking care of the cause and the effect. For thou art the God of my strength. Why dost thou cast me off? This is that time in many psalms when we start to take notice of our doubts, take notice of where we are not using our minds powerfully. And it's saying, I acknowledge that there's only one power, only one source, only one force in the whole universe, and that is my strength. Strength is sphere number 5 on the tree of life. So it can defend me. I don't need to defend myself. I'm recognizing this. I'm understanding this, that if I lean into my faith in this power, that all of my enemies will be vanquished. But then we follow that up with, why do you cast me off? That's what we have to heal in our minds of, oh, I trust you. I know that you're here with me. I know this is working out for me because I know that you only want my happiness, only want my protection. I know that you only want me to be in a situation that is safe and secure and healthy and happy and harmonious. But why aren't you doing that? What we have to recognize is the why aren't you doing it is where we need help. That's where we need to fortify our faith. Remember that witch's pyramid, those of you who have taken my course in a witch's pyramid. Faith, imagination, will, and secrecy. Those are the 4 foundations that you must have to cast a spell that's effective. And so this particular line is talking about the cornerstone of the pyramid that most people have trouble with, and that's faith. Now, you're not having faith in an external deity. You're having faith in the power of the universe itself. The one source, the one force, the one substance. There is none other. So it makes sense when we look at it that way that we come to the realization that us not having faith in that is silly, because there is nothing else to have faith in. And the idea that we could use our minds to pull away from that faith is an important one to take notice of, because that's where we get into delays with our manifestations, is when we pull back, when we don't have trust, if we don't have faith. But you don't question gravity. You don't question it. You have faith in it. You don't question many laws in this world. It's up to you to start to put 2 and 2 together and to start having faith in this power the same way that you have faith in any other law. Why go I mourning because of the oppression of the enemy? You're asking infinite intelligence why you don't have faith. You're asking infinite intelligence, why don't I trust you? What is with this? Why do I go mourning because of the oppression of my enemy? The reason why you go mourning because of the oppression of your enemy is because you forgot that you don't have to. You forgot that there is a power that can take care of this for you. Now that you're in this psalm, the fact that you are bringing these doubts up so that they can be healed is huge. So let's allow that to happen in the process of doing this, in the process of asking these rhetorical questions. Why do you cast me off? Why do I go mourning because of all of this oppression? Because you don't have faith that this is being taken care of. And now you do. Now you understand. Oh, send out thy light and thy truth. Let them lead me. So now we are realizing I can't lean on my own faith all by itself, because that's what I've been trying to do. But I can lean on yours. I can lean on your truth and your light. Remember that truth is sphere number 4. 4 and 5 together, Jupiter and Mars together, are a very powerful combination for justice in this world. Because 4 is the judgment of the law and 5 is the execution of the law. So those two forces work hand in hand quite frequently. 4 is mercy and 5 is severity. And so together they come and they really give you all of the support that you need to have absolute justice in whatever situation you have going on in your life. So we are asking that the light and the truth, the strength and the mercy come together in us, and we realize that we don't have to do anything. That infinite intelligence has got this. The only thing we have to do is allow ourselves to have faith in the process, is to trust that this is being taken care of for us. Let them bring me unto thy holy hill and to thy tabernacles. So the holy hill is Zion. The tabernacle sits on top of that holy hill. What those represent are the pinnacle of your consciousness, and that tabernacle is where you and infinite intelligence are one. And there is no separation. So we are asking that the light and the truth, and in our case, we're talking about mercy and severity, come together and lift us up so that we are aware of where we are in unity with infinite intelligence. Because when we allow ourselves to be lifted up on that holy hill, which is simply a symbol of our higher self, our higher consciousness, when we are allowing ourselves to be lifted up into that tabernacle, into that place where we are at one with our Creator, then we have nothing to be concerned with in regards to injustice. It's all taken care of for us. And that's what we can do again and again. When we start to have these doubts, when we start to think, no, nothing's working for me. Wait a minute. Let me get those forces of severity and mercy to lift me up into the truth about my situation. And that is that I'm at one with infinite intelligence, and all of this is happening for me. This is being taken care of on my behalf. All you need is to lift your consciousness up. That's your only role. The rest of it's done for you. Then will I go unto the altar of God, unto God my exceeding joy. The whole purpose for taking care of this is joy. The reason why you want that restitution is not because ultimately you want them to get their just desserts or because you want to get that money back. Maybe those things are part of it, but ultimately what you want is you want your joy. You want to recapture your joy. When you are in a state of joy, everything's working for you, right? You're not being victimized. You're not being taken advantage of. You're not going without. You're not having conflicts. You're not having problems like that. If you're in a state of joy, real joy, that means all of that's been taken care of for you. So we're going right for the joy, recognizing that is an indicator to our deep mind. Since we're going for the joy, that means that all of this stuff has already been taken care of. When our deep mind realizes that all of this stuff has been taken care of, then it allows for the manifestation to happen because there's no more resistance to it. It's not putting up any resistance to it any longer. And so then will I go unto the altar of God, unto God my exceeding joy. That's where the altar of God is. Where? In that elevated state on Zion, in the tabernacle where you and God are one. That's where you live. That's your truth. That's where your soul exists. The absolute ultimate truth in any aspect of your life is in that tabernacle. So that's your responsibility, to do your best to lift your mind up to that elevated place where you and infinite intelligence are one, and all of the rest of this is taken care of for you. Remember, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things will be added unto you. Where did that character in the New Testament tell you to find heaven? Inside you. So when you're being lifted up, you're not being lifted out of yourself, you're being lifted up deep into yourself. Up means in. Up means in. You could even put yourself in your heart center. The higher you go into your heart center, the closer to that heaven you are. That's where that hill exists, is deep within you. Yea, upon the harp will I praise thee, O God, my God. Well, the harp is something you play with your fingers. When you're playing something with your fingers, that's a symbol of your doing. You're doing your work, your acts in the world. So it's telling you how to praise infinite intelligence. Remember, when you praise something, you make it more real and you expand your experience of it in your life. So if you're praising infinite intelligence, then the manifestations of infinite intelligence are all that you have in your life, and your experience of those manifestations increase. Praising something means to be enthusiastic about how good it is. And it's telling you that in order for you to praise, that you must do so with your hands. In other words, it's fine to praise and say, I'm so grateful, I'm so grateful, I'm so grateful. But if you show your gratitude with your works in the world, that's everything. So you are dedicating everything you do to the praise of infinite intelligence. I'm going to demonstrate how grateful I am. I'm going to demonstrate how wonderful infinite intelligence is by doing only that which proves my gratitude, which proves my praise. Why art thou cast down, O my soul? Now we're asking our soul why it's cast down. The soul, if it was going to answer back to you, is going to say, you've got things backwards. You're the one that's feeling cast down. So why don't you come up with me? Why don't you lift up, like we've been talking about through this whole psalm, your soul is saying, why don't you lift up and come with me and allow all of these things to be taken care of for you? And why art thou disquieted within me? Now, if your soul feels disquieted, it's not your soul, it's your deep mind that's being misprogrammed. That your deep mind has faulty tapes running in it. So we want to ask infinite intelligence to clean out those thought forms. We've already been talking to it about that throughout the psalm, but it's up to us to allow that to happen. So when you're asking, why art thou cast down, O my soul, and why art thou disquieted within me? You are actually saying, I'm willing for these things to come up so that they can be healed. So all of the disquieted feelings within you, you're not going to suppress those anymore. You're not going to pretend like they're not there, but you're also not going to give them any power. You are going to bring them right to infinite intelligence and to your soul and ask that they be taken care of. Ask that they be reoriented, reintegrated, or released, or cleansed, whatever needs to happen, so that everything in your deep mind is now in accordance with your will. And your true will is that you remain aware of who you are as a soul, and that you already are up on that hill, in that tabernacle, at one with your Creator. Hope in God, for I shall yet praise him. So you're telling your deep mind to put its faith in infinite intelligence. Can you imagine how different everything is if your deep mind, which is basically the computer in your mind that can go on autopilot and give you result after result, if you have the main programming of that deep mind be infinite intelligence, rather than trying to figure stuff out for yourself, or rather than trying to respond to fears, and rather than all of the games that we tend to play with each other, if we allowed ourselves to be programmed, that deep programming of our deep mind, to only listen to infinite intelligence, to only be at one with that place in the tabernacle where we are at one with infinite intelligence, we wouldn't have to go through any of this, because we'd get right to the solution before there was a problem manifest, and we would be in joy at all times. Now, the ego part of our mind that likes to have problems, that wants us to delay all of this, wants to convince us, wouldn't that be boring? Wouldn't that be awful? What a boring story. Who wants to go see a movie where nothing but good happens? Don't you want an antagonist? Don't you want problems to solve? The answer to that question is, why don't we try? Why don't we try living in a world where it's joy after joy and see how bored we get? I guarantee you it's not boring. Infinite intelligence has excitement taken care of for you in ways that you didn't even know were possible. Who is the health of my countenance and my God? So the health of your countenance is how you gaze upon something. So it's how you perceive things. So you want infinite intelligence to be the health of your countenance, because infinite intelligence is going to say, wait, you think you see this, but that's not what's there. Let me show you how to see the truth about that. That's everything. That will take care of all of what we've been talking about today. Reprogramming that deep mind. If you let infinite intelligence show you a new way of seeing everything, then what you get is a whole new world. That whole new world is the real world, and that's the world that is our destiny. And we can start living in that world right now, today. So you just keep coming back to the psalm every single day, and you're going to keep finding new seeds of wisdom and new ways to apply that wisdom to your situation at hand. And each and every day, you're going to feel like you are working on a deeper level. Eventually, and maybe very quickly, you're going to get a sense that everything is working out. You're going to get a sense of peace about the situation, certainty that all is well. When you get that sense of peace and certainty, that's a sign to you that your spell has been cast. There's nothing more that you have to do, and then you can just let it go and you can move on to something else. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I so appreciate you. Until next time, blessed be.